Today was an interesting practice for the Eagles. Not only was it long, not only was it hot, you have Miles Sanders going down with an injury scare. You have Carson Wentz not having his best day. And you have your defensive backs being outstanding. Let's talk about what happened. What is going on, everyone? I didn't discuss yesterday's practice because it was one of those practices where the veterans had the day off, the older guys got to relax, the second team played bigger minutes, the third team stepped up into the second team spot. There wasn't too much information to really grasp and talk about. So I decided it wasn't really even worth discussing, but today there was plenty. It is funny, though, that Deshaun Jackson got to relax today while all the other veterans got the day off yesterday. And I always think about Doug Peterson and how much of a beauty he is when it comes to being a player's coach. This is why veterans love him. Now, I understand around the league there's a such thing as veterans get days off, especially in training camp after they've been doing this for so many years. But Deshaun Jackson gets a day off like this. That's why he's so great with relating with his players. That's why players really love him. You relate with them. You don't crush them. It's a different era. It's a different era. I'm sure if you're 50, 60 years old, you laugh at that and say, that means you're soft. We used to do 2 or 3 a days. I get it. Guess what? It's 2019 and it's a totally different ball game. So I just find it funny that Deshaun Jackson has today to kind of take a load off while everyone had it yesterday, and today was clearly a bigger practice. But let's talk about the storyline, the biggest storyline coming out of today, and that's Miles Sanders. So Miles Sanders got blown up with the handoff there, pretty much at the line of scrimmage, and the trainers went to him instantly, holding the ankle. He had to go into underneath the tent. He had to get looked at. Apparently, it's not too bad. He came back. He had his helmet in his hand. He was on the sideline. Not as bad as it looked, but still something you really don't want to see. Doug Peterson did say that there will be more evaluations, but he is good. So whatever that is, that's where we're at right now. I don't think it's too serious. They wouldn't have allowed him to come back and be participating to the level that he did after the injury, but it's still not something you want to see. And he had the lingering hamstring injuries. I'm just hoping this isn't a player that is a Band-Aid, because I have really high hopes for him to come into this offense, and I have such high hopes that he comes into this running back core and this running back by committee situation and thrives and eventually takes over Jordan Howard's spot, in my opinion. So that's what I'm hoping for this kid to do, and we've seen him now have the hamstring injury. We see him now have a little bit of an ankle injury, so hopefully it's nothing too serious, and hopefully he can find a way to stay healthy throughout his career, but it's just obviously something that you don't want to see early in the training camp. Sidney Jones was the second hottest topic of the day, and not for a negative. This guy is a machine, apparently. He had a fantastic play today, picked off Wentz in the red zone on 11-on-11s, made an unreal play. He also was defending Nelson Aguilar at one point and broke up the pass perfectly. He's been a dog out there. And good, prove me the hell wrong. Prove me wrong. I want this guy to succeed. I want this kid to be special. And guess what? It's not just him, because Rasul Douglas is almost matching him. These guys are great friends and competing to play. And they're bringing it out there every single day. They're raising each other's bar because they have to bring up that intensity because they're battling to be a starter at the cornerback position. They're battling. And that obviously all depends on what Ronald Darby's situation is and how Jalen Mills is progressing, but you know what I'm saying. They're out there really competing. And I love that. I want to see who takes the next step. This is the beauty of sports. 2 competitors, 2 athletes going head to head, trying to find a way to beat out the other one with respect. But Sidney Jones has been eye-opening and really catching everyone's attention out there, and that makes me feel good. Really, truly, it does. It makes me feel real good because I didn't have the best gut feeling about Sidney Jones. I just didn't. I thought it was a stupid pick because I haven't seen anything. Well, right now he's showing us something. Now, keep in mind, it's August 1st, but he's showing us something. I always compare it to everyone always gets so disappointed when people get excited about Ben Simmons shooting a jump shot in the summer. Well, why? Would you rather not see him hit a jump shot in the summer? I understand it only matters during the season and the playoffs, but it's either you see him actually hitting them or you don't see them hitting the shots. Well, it goes the same with Sidney Jones. Would you rather not see him do well, or would you rather see him do well in August in training camp? Well, it's simple. It's simple. So good for him and good for Rasul Douglas and even good for Avonte Maddox. Because he's been playing out of his mind too. The cornerbacks have been outstanding. The defense today as a whole was really good. Grugier-Hill with another interception. He's been lighting it up. And as good as he's been, Zach Brown has been miserable. And I'm disappointed to hear that. This guy should be able to be a difference maker out there on the field. And I saw something on the Eagles Snapchat, and I know it's silly to put this out there, but I think there's value in it. They asked about your favorite part about training camp. And he steps right up to the camera. Everyone's answering, the camaraderie, being with the boys, you're ready for football season. He comes up to the camera and goes, nothing. No one wants to be here. You're lying if you want to be here. Who the hell likes training camp? Who the hell wants to be here? And while he's right, because coming from my personal experiences, I dreaded training camp. But if you're looking at what he's been doing so far, well, it correlates to how he feels about training camp. So maybe he's not mentally prepared. Maybe he's not mentally into it. Maybe he didn't prepare in the offseason correctly. But Zach Brown's stock has been going down so far this training camp, and Grugier-Hill has been going the complete opposite because he's been making plays. So Sidney Jones did well. Rasul Douglas, Avonte Maddox, Malcolm Jenkins. They're all breaking up passes from Carson Wentz, and that leads me into Carson Wentz. Carson didn't have his strongest day today. There were some times where he had some plays there in the red zone. There was a lot of red zone situations going on today in practice. There was some times where he hit Ertz for a touchdown. There was one where he had a tight window for Darren Sproles in the end zone. He had moments, but overall it wasn't his strongest performance. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Obviously, you can't crucify the man for having a bad training camp day. He's also had fantastic training camp days. And he had throws out there that were nice, but just overall big picture today, it wasn't his strongest. He's had smoother days. He also didn't have help. Apparently, there were a lot of dropped passes. One specifically, Nelson Aguilar on a nice deep play where he just missed his hands, but it was on Nelson Aguilar, not on the throw by Carson Wentz. There was also a good play in that red zone, by the way, to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. But the quarterback was Nate Sudfeld. And I know I've discussed so far the quarterback play outside of Carson Wentz. It hasn't been the best. Let's talk about Wisniewski. He has had a rough go. Rough go. Getting yelled at. Not having the best snaps. He's had a rough go. And I remember when we brought him back, I was happy for it. Because we always talk about what's Jason Peters going to be like. Where's Brandon Brooks? And I know that these are different positions and all, but my point is I want depth in the offensive line. Because you might have to shift people around. What's Andre Dillard going to be like? And apparently he's been doing a really good job, so I'm thrilled. We know how he was going to be like with the passing blocks, right? But we always knocked on the run. Because where he played at in college, it was pass. You would always pass. But from everything I'm reading up on, his blocking when it comes to run plays is nowhere even close to as bad as what people expected it to be coming out of the draft. Just because they didn't run a lot in college, it doesn't mean he can't do it. It's just the fact that he didn't have to do it as much. But going back to Wisniewski and hearing that he's not having a solid start, and what do we know about Vaitai? We don't know much. We kind of know what he is. who knows what's going to happen with this offensive line, and I want depth in that position as a whole. We might have to move pieces around as injuries happen or whatever the case may be, but hearing that someone like Wisniewski's not strong right now and getting reamed out, that's not something you want to hear. Not something you want to hear at all. I am so into this. So into this. I love seeing it. If you don't already, I would follow all the beat reporters. You got the Athletic beat reporters, the ESPN beat reporters, the NJ.com beat reporters. They're there every day watching every single play and telling all the fans, play by play, what's going on. I can't believe football, and I know it's just preseason, but football, organized football, is around the corner. It happens like this. It's August 1st. This is my favorite time of the year as we start creeping into fall. I'm such a fall guy. Fall is the best. Specifically that October vibe. But the reason why I love August is the anticipation. Because as great as the October feel is, where you have football, basketball's right around the corner, hockey's turning the page, the anticipation for that is almost just as exciting. You get that extra feel. I used to be a summer guy, not so much anymore. And the fact that training camp is like this right now, and there's so much juice around this team, surrounding this squad, it makes it that much better. So I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts on Sidney Jones, Miles Sanders, Carson Wentz's tough day, Zach Brown, things of that nature. I want to hear your thoughts and your opinion so far on what you've seen with the Eagles. Grugier-Hill stepping up. I think he's going to be a player. He's got that motor. He's got that attitude. Almost like an, dare I say, underdog attitude. Rasul Douglas is battling Maddox. I'm so thrilled with what I've seen so far out of the cornerback position. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.